Hi, this is Ishita Datta, a legal intern at Lexis and Company, and today I will be talking about the topic colorable legislation. Doctrine of colorable legislation. Federalism is one of the basic features of the Indian Constitution. By virtue of this power, the Constitution describes the demarcation of governmental functions and powers between the various constituent units of the country. Generally, in a federation, there are two levels of government. The existence or authority of each level of the government has been guaranteed by the Constitution. Indian system is very much influenced to the colonial ruling system of the English for many reasons. One of the influences of this must be the policy which created three pillars of the democracy. The executive, legislature, and judiciary. In the Indian constitutional pattern, a direct separation of power prevails, by which a balance has been maintained between the different organs of the government. Among these, the law-making power primarily rests on the legislature. The doctrine of colorable legislation refers to the question of competency of the legislature while enacting a provision or a law. So, legislature of a federal state is accountable to its people, and the legislation has a different power which is vested upon it by the Constitution. So, the question is, what would be the extent and context of the legislative accountability with reference to the power of conferred upon it in the light of doctrine of colorable legislation in the Indian scenario? So, to get a satisfactory answer of this, the above question first, we have to deal with the doctrine of colorable legislation. If a legislature is prohibited from doing something, it may not be permitted to do this under the guise or pretense of doing something while acting within its lawful jurisdiction, and this prohibition is an implied result of the maxim that what cannot be done directly cannot also be done indirectly. So it is based on this maxim, and it is applicable when the legislature intends to do something indirectly which cannot be done directly. Later on, I will be dealing with the legislative accountability, which means excessive secrecy or open abuse of the public trust vested upon the legislative assembly, which is not tolerable. So they are bound to do justice towards the public aspirations which led them to their seats. So these two parts are discussed in a broad manner respectively with the help of constitutional provisions and judicial decisions. The doctrine of colorable legislation is based on the maxim that what cannot be done directly cannot also be done indirectly. The doctrine becomes applicable when a legislature seeks to do something in an indirect manner when it cannot do it directly. Thus, it refers to the competency of the legislature to enact a particular law. So, if the impunged legislation falls within the competence of the legislature, the question of doing something indirectly, which cannot be done directly, does not arise. So, now I will be talking about colorable legislation in India. In India, the doctrine of colorable legislation signifies only a limitation of the law making power of the legislator. It comes into picture while the legislature purporting to act within its power, but in reality it has transgressed its powers. So the doctrine becomes applicable whenever any legislation seeks to do in an indirect manner, so what it cannot do directly. If the impugned legislation falls within the competence of the legislature, the question of doing something indirectly which cannot be done directly does not arise. In India, legislative powers of the parliament and the state legislatures are conferred by Article 246 and distributed by lists 1, 2 and 3 in the 7th schedule of the Constitution. Parliament has exclusive powers to make the laws with respect to any of the matters in list 2. Parliament and state legislatures have both the powers to make laws with respect matters in list 3, which is also known as the concurrent list. Residuary powers of the legislation is vested in the parliament by virtue of Article 248 and entry 97 in list 1. The power of the state legislature is to make laws, and the subject to the power of parliament is to make laws with respect to matters in list 1 and 3. While examining the legislative competence of the parliament to make a law, all that is required to be seen is whether the subject matter falls in list 2, which parliament cannot enter for in view of the residuary power vesting in parliament, and other matters which are not outside the legislative competence of the parliament. Legislative competency is an issue that relates to how a legislative power must be shared between the centers and state. It focuses only on the relation between the two. The question is whether the legislature has kept itself within the jurisdiction assigned to it or has encroached upon a forbidden field is determined by finding out that the true nature and character of it and substance of the legislation. So the main point is that the legislature is having restrictive powers and cannot step over the field of competency. It is termed as fraud on the constitution. So, the Supreme Court in the case of KC Gajapati versus State of Odisha, while explaining the doctrine, held that if the constitution of a state distributes legislative spheres marked out by the specific legislative entries, or if there are limitations on the legislative authority in the shape of fundamental rights, questions do arise as to whether the legislature in a particular case in respect to the subject matter of the statute or in the method of enacting it transgress the limits of the constitutional power or not. Such transgression may be patent or manifest and direct, but it also may be distinguished, covert and indirect, and it is the latter class of cases that the expression colorable legislation has been applied in certain judicial pronouncements. So the Supreme Court of India in different judicial pronouncements have laid down the certain tests in order to determine the true nature of the legislation impeached as colorable. First is the court must look to the substance of impungent law as distinguished from its form or the label which the legislature has given it. So, for the purpose of determining the substance of an enactment, the court will examine two things. A is effect of the legislature and B is the object and purpose of the act. Second is the doctrine of colorable legislation has nothing to do with the motive of the legislation, but it is in the essence a question of wires or the powers of the legislature to enact the law in question. The doctrine does not involve any question of bona fides or malefides intention on the part of the legislature. So if the legislature is competent enough to a particular law, then whatever motive which impelled it to act are irrelevant. On the other hand, it was observed by the apex court that the motive of the legislature in passing a statute is beyond the scrutiny of the courts, and so the court has no power to scrutinize the policy which led to an enactment of a law falling within the ambit of the legislature concerned. There is hardly any instance where a law has been declared by the court as invalid on the ground of competency of the legislature. The only instance is in the case where a state law dealing with the abolition of landlord system provided for the payment of compensation on the basis of income accruing to the landlord by way of rent. So arrears of rent due to the landlord prior to the date of acquisition were to vest in the state, and half of these arrears were to be given as to the lord as compensation. The provision was held to be a piece of colorable legislation and hence void on the basis of the following grounds: that it was not within the competence of Bihar state legislature to enact the impungent act, and that the acquisitions of the estate are not being public purpose and the act was unconstitutional, and then the legislative power is in various sections of the act has been abdicated in the favor of the executive, and such abdication of power was unconstitutional. That the act was a fraud on the constitution, and that certain parts of the acts were unenforceable on account of vagueness and indefiniteness. So there is always a presumption that the legislature does not exceed its jurisdiction, which is ut res magis, valid quam paret, and the burden of establishing that an act is not within the competence of the legislature or that it has transgressed other constitutional mandates as always on the person who challenges its constitutionality. So the ultimate analysis is that colorable legislation indicates that while making the law, the legislature transgressed the limits of its power. But the question may be raised that whether or not Parliament can do something indirectly which it cannot do directly may depend upon why it cannot do directly. There are so many examples in law as well as life where something can be done indirectly, although not directly. So the true principle of colorable legislation is that it is not permissible to do indirectly what is prohibited directly. Thank you.